are social creatures. Throughout our entire lives, we depend on each other to survive. Being self-aware allows us to see this need, which drives us to seek out caring relationships in our efforts to connect with others. Keep in mind that relationships extend beyond romantic and include family, friends, and colleagues. But how do you build and maintain strong and healthy relationships that bring you fulfillment in life? February is Love Month, and we are going to be diving into the different aspects of love, marriage, family, and relationships. I am so happy you are here to join the conversation. Tonight, we're talking with Farrah Blakely. Farrah is a certified relationship coach, life coach, and mindfulness practitioner. She specializes in transforming limited beliefs to help you achieve your desired relationship and results. Farrah helps busy professionals attract the ideal partner and build healthy, successful, and lasting relationships for singles. She is here to guide you to love by optimizing your inner energy for attraction. If you're in a relationship, she will help you revitalize your inner energy to create sparks in your love life and overcome hindrances. Farrah, thank you for joining us tonight.
You're so welcome. I'm glad to be here.
And I appreciate you for I always because you don't have to say yes, and I thank you for saying yes and for joining us on a topic that I don't normally engage in.
It's a tough topic. It's a tough. Love is tough.
Love, I am. I'm excited. I really am. I'm so excited, and so I don't want to delay any longer.
Okay.
Your bio.
Mhm.
I was reading an article that you wrote,
Ooh.
and you were talking about how you started out not being open and you had all of these hangups, which really got you to where you are now.
Yes.
So you were talking about what building a healthy relationship looked like, but you were engaging in some unhealthy habits.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about your relationship history and how you came from that place to right here and are able to talk about?
Oh, Shantae. Go back down that aisle. Okay. So one of the unhealthy habits I had was keeping lists. So I would keep a list of like all the things that I wanted in my ideal man. You know, he's got to be this tall and make this much money and have a degree or whatever, occupation, all the things, you know. And this list was long. I mean, there's like 100 things on this list.
Wow.
But that's unrealistic. As time went on, I realized this was unrealistic. And the thing I realized I was doing is that was kind of like my wall, because if I couldn't find somebody that met all these things on this list, well, he was out the door,
How
right?
can somebody meet 100 items on your list?
You really believe that that's what you need in order to be happy. So you have this list of all these things, and I have seen some lists from women that is ridiculous. I mean, they want everything that's contradictory. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want him to be an entrepreneur and make $1 million, but he's got to have quality time where he spends with me every weekend. And like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, it's not going to happen. So I realized that what that was doing is I kind of saw that list as a protection of myself. I didn't have to really put myself out there, but I could sit back and watch them do all the things. And if they didn't make it, well, you got to go, buddy. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Yeah. So once I realized that, I was like, okay, I got to throw this list out. I did. And that's when I had to let my guard down, because in order for me to get to know someone, I had to get to know myself. What do I really need in a relationship? Like, I had to be honest with Farrah and really speak about the things I was uncomfortable speaking about with myself, let alone, with someone else, but get to the core of what it is I needed, not just what I wanted. Because sometimes we use our want list to supersede our need list. And so we get these wants and then we get it, but it still doesn't fulfill us. And we don't know why.
Yeah.
Because it's not what we needed.
So you recommend, even before you write a want list, you recommend writing a need list.
Yes.
How did you go about, because I love lists and
I do too.
baby, I love me a list.
A good to-do list, a good to-do list.
How did you go about identifying or getting to the point where you were able to determine what it was that you needed?
So what I started doing is I stopped dating. I was just like, I'm done. Like, I'm not doing it anymore. Just forget it. I'm just out here to have a good time. Whatever that meant, mingling with friends, family, joining organizations to figure out what I enjoyed, what Farrah likes. What am I good at? What am I not good at? What do I really want out of life? All of those things were my priority, and I put dating on hold. Like, I need to just convince me that I like me. Like, I need to be so in love with me and myself and everything about me, the good, the bad, the indifferent, that when I go out, it's none of my concern if someone finds me attractive or wants to date me.
Hmm.
I don't need to worry about that. What's for me is for me. And I had to get to that point of self-love and self-awareness.
How did you get there? I mean, like, what?
It took a long time, Shanta.
How did you do it?
I did it, like I said, I kind of let go of the idea, the traditional idea, and I put it in quotes because I come from that era where like being married and, having kids out of marriage and like all these things is what you're supposed to do as a woman. So I had to realize that that may not be my truth.
Hmm.
I may not need that path in order to be happy. And as I started accepting that truth, I started trying new things and going new places and dating outside of what would have been normal for me.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's how little by little the self-awareness started rising to the surface about things. And I was like, oh, maybe I don't like that. Maybe I do like this. Things that weren't, I guess, stereotypical of what a woman of my color and age and background and religion, all that should be liking and doing and dating. So I had to let all of that go and just be open. And when I mean open, that doesn't mean, because sometimes when I say that, people think it means, oh, you're just a pushover. Anybody can just do whatever they want.
Uh-huh.
That's not what being open means. Being open means you allow God to lead you from within,
Yes.
not from the outside by material things or what somebody's going to think of you, but literally that calling from within, even if it goes against what you've been taught.
Yes.
You still go with that, and that will always lead you to the truth.
Yes.
You'll never feel that way. So that's what it was I had to do.
So what did that journey inside? Because that's
Mm,
what I'm calling it. What did
mm.
that journey inside and that soul talk, what did it lead you to finding out about yourself?
It led me to find out that I'm very intuitive. I am not traditional at all, which was kind of the struggle I was having after my divorce. I was still trying to fit into those traditional, molds, but that's not me. I'm a non-traditional person. I still want, the partner and the commitment, but just not in the traditional setting that has been painted for most women in my age group. Yeah.
And so you created this, you got your need list.
hmm
And what did that lead you to?
You know what? It was three things on that list that I needed. And it was I needed someone knowledgeable because I love having intelligent conversations.
Okay.
I needed someone that was honest, like willing to be honest, not forcing someone to be honest, but they're willingly honest. And then someone that's adventurous. They like to try things.
Okay.
They're open to new things. I'm not saying they have to like everything I like, but they're just open to things. And that was really it.
That's a it's huge,
hmm
but it's simple at the same time.
Yes. And those things that you need usually are going to be around principles that are in your life already that you're either living it or you want to live it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be those things that you need from the other person. And even though I say, oh, it's knowledge, honesty, and adventure, my partner that I've been with for 8 years, he is those things, but it's the way we complement each other. Right. So I'm knowledgeable. He's knowledgeable. He's a numbers guy.
Uh-huh.
I'm a emotional intelligence person. So we're able to teach each other things all the time, but it's not that he has to know my knowledge or I have to know his knowledge. So it's things like that.
Uh, I'm in love.
Yes.
It's, um, because I think about and I kind of went through the same process
Mhm.
because I can name my three right off the top of my head, and it used to be a long, long, long list, but I had to narrow the things down that I want from every single relationship.
Mhm.
And it fits completely across the board. I want to be seen, I want to be heard, and I want to be considered.
I
So
remember you telling me that. Yes, yes.
in every relationship that I engage
Mhm.
with my mother, with my siblings, if I'm in a romantic relationship, that is the thing that I need. And for me, if those three things are being met, then everything else
Yes.
falls in and we
Yes.
complement each other
Yes.
with no problem, just as you said.
Absolutely.
So how do you go about let's talk about how to help our single women.
Okay.
And then I want to touch briefly on how to help married couples
Mhm.
who are and I don't know if you do this, but how you can help them get to throw some of the extra stuff out so that they can, you know, make their relationship even more healthy.
Yeah.
How are you helping single women?
Mhm.
What are you saying? What are you doing to help single women throw the list out and
You know what I tell single women? I tell them all the time, especially in the South, because that's who I deal with the most, is throw out everything you think you know about dating and going on dates or whatever, because probably more often than not, you were lied to.
Mm,
And not on purpose or, but just unintentionally lied to, because the truth is, men don't have all the answers. It's very hard for them to make the approach. They're not they don't always know what to say, and they can't always afford all the dates. Truth. And they won't say that, but that is the truth.
real talk in real life. And we've been taught something totally different.
You've been taught something totally different. Men are they have all the answers. They're the leaders. They know everything. They can afford for this, your lifestyle. They should be taking care of you. That's not true. I mean, of course, if he's,
Okay.
got unlimited money.
Okay. So so you're not saying lower your standard.
No.
You're saying release the expectations.
Yes. Yes. Because let me tell you something that ladies do that are single. So you hold these men to these expectations, which then feeds that energy to them that they should hold you to an expectation. So if I am investing, because that is what is happening when money is being spent,
Okay.
that is an investment for sure.
True.
Then what do you expect from an investment?
I expect a return.
Exactly. So that return could be at the end of the night. It could be after the end of the second night, but that is the setup that you are creating for that type of exchange when you go in with those expectations. So if you were to release that, and now he no longer has that expectation from you, and you no longer have that expectation from him, just think where you could sit in that space of just being yourself. He is himself, and you can just have an equal exchange of conversation with no pressure.
Mm. Okay.
And then that what we were talking about where you are like in that convincing mode,
Uh-huh.
that's gone. You don't need to convince anybody because there's no expectation.
Well, now that's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. I get a whole bunch of
I always get a whole bunch of questions when yeah.
so okay, so we've released our expectation
Hmm.
and we have which the reality is I agree with you on all of this because this is actually how I live life. I'm just in taking one day, one step, one moment at a time.
Yes.
We're just hey,
Stay present.
if we connect, how do we connect? How are we connecting? And we're setting it and we're doing it and we're going what I call with the flow.
Hmm.
And it allows you to be where I want to go. We're going to take a quick break here in just a moment, but I want to flow into the intimacy and the vulnerability
Mm.
that gets created when you release these expectations and you are just in this flow and how that works. And some of the things that you yourself did to become vulnerable
Mhm.
and allow that intimacy, because I don't do good. I don't do good with this.
Tough. It can be tough.
So we're going to pick. This is where I want to pick up at
Okay.
after this quick break right
Okay.
here.
I am so excited to share with you and dive into this question. What do you want to be known for? What do you want to be perceived as? How do you want to be received? We're going to talk about your personal brand. Who are you? What do you want to be known for? It's interesting because when we think of branding, we also think, I have to be an entrepreneur. I have to own my own business. That's not true. Anybody and everybody. We are our own walking brand, and we're going to have fun doing some exercises and diving in and getting to know ourselves and diving in and getting to know, what do we want to be known for? How do you get there? How do you get there? We're going to show you, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it.
And before we went to the break, we were about to start talking about the intimacy and vulnerability that gets created when we've thrown out our expectations and we have just allowed ourselves to be and create organic relationships. Let's talk about how we move into vulnerability and intimacy.
Yeah.
First, tell us a little bit about what intimacy is.
Okay, so intimacy, of course, there is the definition where it says like it's a closeness and familiarity with, it could be friends, family, your lover in a relationship, spouse. But really what it is, it's emotional nakedness. And depending on your personality, a lot of people don't want to be seen as weak. And, our media, this vulnerability or showing intimacy in the way we're talking about emotionally, it can be seen as like you're weak, crying or feeling sad or whatever it is. But that's not. Vulnerability is actually your strength. When you're able to show that, it actually shows how strong you are because you're not dependent on what this other person is thinking. You're just in the moment being present.
Yes.
And when you're present, you feel that and you allow it to be shown. So that's really when you talk about being seen, being heard, that is allowing yourself to really be seen, seeing Shantae from her inside, not just her outside. Because, you're beautiful. That's easy to look at your outside, but to see you from your inside, happy, inside sad, inside whatever, that takes strength.
Yeah. And I think when you take the time to create that and do that, it allows you to get to know you open, and they have an opportunity to be back open with you, and it allows the relationship to be built, and you get to determine at a very quickly, what, this is not a person that I can share my truths with.
You are absolutely correct. Yes, that is a good way to be able to tell, is this someone that I could spend more time with, longevity, where I could open up to them and we could build something deeper, or is it not? Is it something where I need to like let this go? Yeah. It's hard and it sounds simple, but it is hard when you start. And here's the other side of vulnerability that we often forget. So I'm asking questions, but I have to still be surrendered to receive the answer because it's not going to come when I want it. It's going to come when the other side is prepared and ready to share it. So I still have to stay in that vulnerability and be able to receive what they give to me or what spirit gives to me. And when they share it, because sometimes, somebody shares something and you dismiss it or I don't believe it. I know what's best. You know what I mean? You have this type of attitude that's not in receive mode. You're not vulnerable. So that's the only state you can be in to actually receive someone for who they are and give of who you are.
Okay. Okay, let's unpack that just for a minute. Let's unpack that
Okay.
just real briefly, real
Okay.
quick, because I want to make sure that I heard what you said.
Okay.
So I'm going to repeat it back to you.
Okay.
You're saying when the space has been created, because for the last few weeks we've been talking mental health, and one of the things we've been talking about is creating a safe place for people to express. So when the space has been created for you created a safe space for your partner, your mother, your daughter, your whatever, to open up and be vulnerable. You have to stay in that safe space and allow, because they may not give you their vulnerability immediately
all at once.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
And you have to stay in your vulnerable space, and in that safe space to receive them when they finally do open up. Because sometimes we will get a whole attitude. You know what?
I asked you a question.
We'll shut down.
Yes.
We'll shut down, and we will shut down. And oh God, I'm talking to myself. And we will close that safe space.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's okay. Well, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So when you started doing this, when you started practicing this and being intentional about this, how did it change your life in all of your relationships?
Oh, wow. It made me see people for who they actually are. And it made me see myself first for who I actually was. And what I recognize is that I have a lot of flaws. But thank goodness, like, those flaws haven't kept me from receiving the good things in my life. You know what I mean? Like the blessings and all the good things I get to do and my good health. And because I was like, who am I to be flawed? And I'm still receiving all these good things in my life, for me to sit here and then pass judgment on someone else because they didn't call me back or because they decided they changed their mind about something. You know what I mean? Like, who am I to do that? So that's the first change it made in me. And when I made that awareness about myself, then I let people off the hook. Like if I went out with someone and they didn't call me back, it's like, well, you know what? That's okay. It wasn't a match.
It's okay.
I have all this other stuff in my life that I can do without wasting time on someone that wasn't interested.
So what you are saying at the end of the day is one of the key aspects of creating a healthy, long-lasting relationship with others is to first create a healthy, long-lasting relationship with yourself.
Yes, absolutely. That is dire. It has to be done. It has to be done. You cannot give from an empty cup.
You cannot. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay, so we are going to continue this conversation. I'm going to open up the chat, the show, to the audience. Some of them have already sent in quite a few questions.
Okay.
And so I want everyone to have an opportunity to ask some additional questions. And so you can start dropping your questions in the chat. We will try to get to as many of them as we can, and we will start that right after this brief message. So our first question, which is a good one, is ghosting ever justified?
Absolutely.
What? We're going to first talk to people like me who have no clue what ghosting is.
Okay, so let's explain ghosting. Ghosting is, maybe you're texting and you're exchanging communication. It's like understood that we're talking. And then all of a sudden, the person on the other side just vanishes. Like you send them something like, what's up? How's it going? And nothing, not a zip. Now, it could be permanently, it could be for a few days, So, but that's ghosting, basically, like ignoring someone.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're saying that that's okay.
There are times where it can be justified.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. Okay. Now, everybody's probably had a situation where they might have gone out with someone that seemed cool at the beginning, and then all of a sudden, somebody else showed up that was unstable. And you don't know how to maneuver their unstableness. And you don't want to maneuver their unstableness.
Okay. When you say, hold it, understand what you're saying.
Okay.
You're saying we've been kicking it
Mm-hmm.
and we've been good,
Mm-hmm.
but now a different version of you
Mm-hmm.
has appeared.
Yes.
Okay, go right
A
on
version
ahead.
that is toxic, or maybe it frightens you. Maybe you really are scared of what you've seen or encountered, and you just don't know how to handle it other than telling them that, you're not interested anymore, and maybe you're scared to do that. So you ghost them. In that situation, I would say if that's what you feel comfortable doing because you were fearful because of some things you encountered with them, the behavior you witnessed, maybe an exchange took place that was really toxic, then it was best for you to dip out and let it be. You know, those type of situations we get into sometimes, not knowing that's how it was going to end up. Yeah, I would say ghosting is okay.
Okay. All right. Uh, okay, I don't understand this question. The truth men wish women understood.
Oh, wow. There's so many. Okay, one truth I think that men wish women understood is something I touched on earlier. So, approaching women is not easy. Like, we just assume that because they're guys, that they just approaching a woman first
I agree with that.
is just like easy peasy, no big deal. And that when a woman rejects them, it's like, you're a guy, like you should be used to, like, it's no big deal if I say something rude to you or dismiss you or you know roll my eyes at you. But guys have feelings, and it still hurts their feelings to be rejected.
Yeah, I really do agree with that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the approach is never easy. It never gets easy. And when you are out with your friends, like, it's you and four of your homegirls out having dinner and drinks, then he's even more terrified to make the approach.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So a truth men wish women knew is that it's not easy for men to approach women. Let me ask you this.
Mm.
So do you think, I mean, because we're not taught as women to approach men because it kind of puts us into our masculine energy.
It
Is what
can.
I
It
have.
doesn't have to though.
So how do you make the approach and not come off as aggressive and in your quote unquote masculine energy?
I think with women, if they were to make their approach, I think just speaking is the approach to a man for a man's perspective. Like if you just said hello first, or you made eye contact and kept the eye contact for, a few seconds and smiled or something like that,
Okay.
to them, that's the approach. Like that's giving them the nod to be like, oh, I can go talk to her. Like she's
Okay.
interested in me. So that obstacle's kind of like out of the way. They don't have to wonder, like, I wonder if she's gonna reject me, is she gonna like me? You know what I mean?
What's okay. If we
I'm telling you, as a woman, try it. Like, just try to approach a guy. Just like not being serious, but just like, I'm just going to try to walk up to a guy and just start a conversation. You don't have to want to date him or even be attracted to him. You just want to start a conversation. You will see how difficult it is. You'll be like, this is really hard.
what especially if you're not a people person. Now I'm a people person and
Uh-huh.
to talk to anybody at any moment at any time.
But approaching a gentleman in a social environment where you are going to walk up to him, you don't know this person, they haven't made eye contact, just like that guy right there. Just walk up to him.
It's That's what I'm saying. I think I may sit in my masculine energy just a little bit.
But most women would be like, I don't think so, Farrah. That's okay.
Well, and no, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, and I'm coming back to your questions and just I have a question. How do you and do you see this a lot with the women that you work with? Do you see women sitting more in their masculine energy? And how do you help women identify that so that they can pull out of? Because the reality is, though we sit in our masculine energy so much, I'm finding that men do not like us in our masculine energy. It unfortunately, especially African American women, it's our default, but it's hard. And I speak from experience.
Yeah.
Okay? I had to do a lot of work, and still doing a lot of work to get out of that masculine energy that I'm so used to.
Yeah. And I know exactly what you're talking about because I still can struggle with that sometimes because I just by nature I'm bossy. So that can come across as like aggressive sometimes. So I think recognizing it and just going back to the surrendering, just letting go. That's the quickest way to get out of the masculine energy is just to let go. So let go of being right. Let go of being right. Let go of being right. Let go of having to have the answer. Let go of determining if what he has come up with is good enough. Just let it go. Let go of if this is the right person. Like just let it all go. And that will put you in your feminine energy because women are meant to receive. Right?
Yeah.
So if you just let someone do whatever they do and you let go of trying to correct it, fix it, help it.
Oh, it's like it's like you're asking me not to be. That's what it feels like. Hard. I struggle with it so much. I know I'm not the only one.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Please, somebody else.
No, you're not.
Join me in it. I struggle with it so hard, and I'm constantly having to. And you would think that it would just be so natural, but I'm so used to it. I'm constantly having to quickly, correct myself. Shantae, don't do that. You're stepping out of your lane.
Yeah.
And I find myself saying that more and more and more because I've jumped over into that masculine energy and I need to correct you. I need to tell you which way to go. I need to tell you, no,
it's not going to be like 100% all the time. But if you could just do a little bit, just a little bit more, then it will help you get there. And then when you start to recognize that, this feels good not to have to jump in all the time.
I ain't got there yet. I'm still working for it.
Yes. Yeah, I have it too. Like I said, I'm bossy and I'm a fixer. So, when I see something, I'm like, oh, let me go fix it. But then sometimes I'm like, I'll let him handle it. And if it don't work out, it don't work out.
Yeah. And I do that, but it's so hard.
It is hard. It is hard. But I think with myself, because I went through that process of learning how to meditate and it forces you to learn to surrender, I think that's what helped me get to that point where I can just be like, I'm just going to sit back and let that play out how it's supposed to play out.
Because my boss told me something one time when I think I was freshly married and we were just kind of we were in a competition, seemed like one another. It was a real power struggle when I think about it now. And he just looked at me and he was like, "You're gonna have to let that man be a man." He's like, no, you just keep stepping, that's the reason why he's fighting you so much.
Yeah.
Because what you're trying to do is and I didn't get it. I kind of got mad at him.
Yeah.
I didn't get it that I was trying to take his it wasn't my intent, but I was trying to take his man card.
Yeah.
And because I thought that I knew better and my way was just so much more convenient and easier for us, which 9 times out of 10 it was.
But the other thing, so if you look at it from, if you reverse the shoes, would you want someone doing you like that?
Girl, and every time he tried to tell me to do something, when I tell you, it would burn me up.
So see, they feel that same way. And so it's just putting yourself in their shoes.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. So let me get back to these questions.
Okay.
How do you measure the success of your relationships?
Are you happy? Are you happy? Like you're getting your needs met. You can be yourself. You feel like when you're excited to go home at the end of the day, you're not trying to run from home or sneak out of home. You know, that's a metric for success. Do you feel like I can talk to my partner? I can't wait to tell my partner this. That's the person I can't wait to tell whatever to. Good news, bad news.
Wow. Okay. That's really good. Because a lot of people, and what I like is you just gave a description of what happiness looks like, because a lot of people can't even identify happiness. Like,
Yes.
happy. Well, I'm smiling. That doesn't mean that you're happy.
Right.
And so I really, really, really like that. Okay. Yeah. Are social media conversations with the opposite sex inappropriate? Okay, girl, I know what my answer is.
Okay. It just depends. It depends on your relationship, because I don't think just overall it should be inappropriate, but it depends on your relationship, what they're talking about, who the person is, like all these things.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I can understand that. If you want to attract a certain type of man or woman, what's the first thing you need to do?
You need to become that which you want to attract.
Okay.
Yes. So if you want to attract someone kind and generous and, I don't know, fit, 6-pack abs, you need to become that. Yes. Yes.
One of the things that I always say as a leader, and it's a quality that I learned from God and I try to do it. I never ask anybody to do something that I myself will not do.
Amen. Yes.
And so what you're saying is, before you go and even make your list about all the things that you want, we're going back to this list.
Yes.
You need to be that first.
Yes. Because when you become that, then you see what's involved in it.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Because it's easy to ask for stuff. You just ask for stuff all the time. But to become what you are asking of someone else, then you see what's involved in maintaining, creating this life, becoming this type of person. Is that you? Is that not you? So that's why I say, if that's what you want to attract, you need to become that.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk briefly to people who are already, locked in relationships, and those relationships are kind of all over the place, and they need to they're working to get this type of balance, and you've been talking about getting into the lead up into a relationship.
Right.
How do we help people who are already in relationships or in marriage back into these same type of principles, if it's possible?
It is possible. Now, I say it's possible if they really want the relationship.
Yeah.
They really want the other person they're with, and they're willing to do the work. So I think they have to be honest again with themselves. Like, where am I at right now? What is it that, I want out of this? And am I willing to do the things to get it? Because sometimes we don't ask ourselves that question. We just, like I said, we think it's the other person. So we're just sitting back waiting for this other person to do the stuff and
become somebody.
Right. But we haven't assessed ourselves to realize, oh, I need to work on this. Oh, so it's not all them. It's me too.
See, you're talking about the things that, like nobody wants to do. Nobody wants to do any work. You blame everybody else.
Yes, it is. Yes.
It's easier to question others than it is to question yourself. And then be required to answer yourself like,
Yes, yes. And then the second part of that is whatever has happened in this marriage, relationship, whatever, that you've like, so maybe you've asked yourself that and you've come to this space where it's like, well, because they did this, whatever this is that hurt you or damaged the relationship, are you willing to get past it? That means letting it go. We're going back to surrendering. You got to let it go and just go forward. Are you willing to do that? Because if you're not willing to do that, because some people don't want to let things go,
yeah.
they want to hold on to it. So if that's the case, then there's no sense in trying to fix anything. It's like trying to run with a broken leg. It's not going to work. You got to heal the leg, then you can start running. But if you don't want to heal the leg,
Wow.
then
That's true. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So those are two things that you're saying. That's probably enough.
Yeah, if you get to those two things, you're on you got a lot right there just to unpack and deal with.
Okay. So we have a few minutes left.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you build and maintain your relationship with clients?
Ooh, that's such a good question. So I consider myself a coach, but I am not the type of coach that tells you what to do. Like, I'm not going to be, go do this, go do that. You have to do these things. What I like to do with my clients is I like to help them reveal their truth. And then I can help guide them through that process. Whatever needs to happen, whatever they need to do, I am there to help guide you. I'm not there to tell you what to do. Right? So through that, I like to create a safe space, like we talked about earlier, where they can show me their truth. And from there, we can build whatever we need to build together so that they can go on. Because then when I help them build, they acquire the skills that they need to go forward. So they're not dependent on me.
Yeah.
So that's how I like to build the relationship with my clients is I'm here by your side. I'm not leading you. So.
Okay. And the tools that you've used to work on yourself and attract the love and the romantic relationship that you want, you have been able to utilize all of those same tools because real principles, they never change.
That's right.
That's right. They can be applied to every situation.
Yes.
And that's what I love about the truth and about, quality principles. They in every situation, it's not situational for this person or that person.
Right.
They are solid everywhere.
Yes.
And so what you're saying, what you just described is you use those same tools in all of the rest of your relationships.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you identify? I know I'm just taking up all the question. How do you identify when, okay, I'm in a toxic and unhealthy relationship and I need to exit stage left from this relationship?
That's a good question. I think when you do things out of character. So if you are doing things that after you do them, you're like, oh, I hate that I did that. I really hate that I said that. It's taking you out of your character. So you are having regret, and then you have guilt, and then you have fear. All of those things are low vibrational energies where it's going to make it very difficult for you to attract that goodness between another person because now you're sitting in regret and fear and guilt, and that's going to promote more regret, fear, and guilt. So you start doing things out of guilt instead of doing things from your heart.
It's very good. That's very good. So what do you recommend for people who are in that space and in a lot of these relationships they just can't just walk away from as easily?
If they can't walk away as easily, I would say that they need to seek help, maybe therapy, or professional help of some kind, because it may not just be like, oh, this one situation happened. Like it could be other things going on that are outside of your control that you need professional help to navigate. So that's why I said therapy or something like that. And I would not seek counsel from friends and family. I would not do that if you are in that type of situation and you cannot get out of it immediately. So that therapy, don't seek counsel from friends or family, and then make a plan for yourself. Make a plan for yourself that, okay, I've got to get out of this. I need money. I need to start saving. What am I going to do? Am I going to get an extra job? Do I need to start working? Do I need to go back to school? Like, what is the plan? And work on that plan to get yourself out.
I like that. That. Okay, so we got one more question.
Okay.
What role does empathy play in your approach to relationship management?
It plays a huge part. A huge part. And empathy, I think, is necessary. I don't know how you're going to have a healthy relationship without empathy, because to be able to feel what someone else is going through without actually going through it, I think that's really important. And I think it's for any parent to child, friend to friend, coworker to coworker, just having that level of empathy. It's very necessary.
And I agree with you on that. And one of the ways that I really try to make sure I do listening to people more and more, and not talking as much.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And the more you allow them to talk or give them that psychological air to breathe, to get it all out, you begin to. And now I understand you more. I may not like it.
Right.
I may not agree with it, but I'm here and I understand you more. So now my response to you and the way that you handle things, or the way that I see and the way that things, I can understand it more, and I can provide a different response.
And that is true. And one thing that I've done for me, and I can't remember who I learned this from, I don't know, so forgive me, but one of the tricks I learned to have empathy instantly is to imagine the person that's talking to you, imagine they are 3 to 4 years old. So when a 3 to 4 year old is communicating, sometimes it's not perfect. Sometimes they say things they shouldn't say. They stumble over their words. It might not make sense, but you really try hard to really understand what this 3 or 4 year old is saying, because they're only 3 to 4 years old and they just don't know better. And even though that's an adult, sometimes they just don't know better.
Yeah.
They only know what they know, and they only speak the way they know how to speak. So when you take that approach, then it's much easier to be like, because within all of us is our inner child.
Yeah.
And that inner child is struggling to get out every day.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for coming and sitting down and talking with me. Believe it or not, we've been going for an hour. And wow. I appreciate you so much. And anybody who wants to connect with you, I know that they can connect with you through your website, www.farrahblakely.com. And they can also, I know you have a TikTok page.
Yes.
And we're putting all of that information up so people can connect with you.
Yes.
I have to bring you back. So all the conversation.
I had so much fun.
When it comes to building and maintaining healthy connections, it is important to work towards improving the quality of relationships in our lives. The tips mentioned tonight will help you to know what to look for in positive relationships in order to use them to improve your mental health and physical well-being. I want to invite you to continue the conversation with us. Next week, we will have a special Valentine's Day treat. I myself will be interviewed by guest host Lauren Fisher. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous about this. It really is going to be interesting. So make sure you join us for the rest of the month as we bring on Dr. Eleanor Miller for a discussion on what happens after I do. And she will be sharing some truths about what it's taken to maintain a 45-plus-year marriage. Also, we will be joined by Dr. Thompson, author of the award-winning Infidelity Recovery Workbook for Couples, Tools and Exercise to help you rebuild your relationship. So make sure you invite someone and come and join the conversation. And if you have missed any of our shows, you can catch all of the replays on our YouTube or on our website at www.nextlevelconversations.com. Until next week, I want to let you know that I love you and I thank you. Good night.
Good night.